Hi guys, I'm Laura Vitale, and on this episode of Laura in the Kitchen, I'm going to share with you my barbecue pulled pork recipe. I've had a lot of requests for this recipe since the warmer months are coming up, and it's just such a perfect thing to do to make for get-togethers. And you can make this in a slow cooker, or you could pop it into a low oven like I'm going to do today. It takes a handful of ingredients, but it is just divine. You'll need very simple basics to start with. The very first thing, it's called a pork shoulder, or also known as a pork butt. It's not butt, it's a pork shoulder, and there is a bone in there, and that's going to give you a lot of flavor. And now I want you to trim. You see there's a little bit of fat here. Here, there's fat sort of running through it, and there's a little bit of fat underneath of it as well. If your pork shoulder has a really thick layer of fat, you might want to trim that off because you're not going to need all that fat. The amounts and the the weighing of everything, it'll be on my website with a recipe. So we're just going to get going. Now what I have here is some ingredients to make a fabulous rub. Granulated garlic and onion, paprika, chili powder, dried mustard, there's brown sugar under there, black pepper, and salt, and you'll need a lot of onions. And I've got a big baking pan here. You can make this in a slow cooker. I think it just gives you a bit better flavor to do it in the oven, which is why I'm going to do it in the oven. Before I get to touching my pork, I just want to mix together all my ingredients to make the rub that is going to just coat this beauty completely. Now, if you don't eat pork, if you want to make this recipe using a different kind of protein, you can make my barbecue pulled chicken. It's stovetop. It's not going to take as long as this takes to cook, but it is, gives the same sort of flavor, but it just isn't going to be the traditional barbecue pulled pork, but it's still delicious. Now that we have that ready, clean hands. This is clean, and I've patted it dry. I'm going to take that baby, and I'm going to pop it on top of my onions, and then I'm going to take my mixture, and I'm going to, and there's no need to add any fat or anything to this because it is going to release its own. And if I said there's no need for extra fat, then you should know by now that it's probably gonna be good enough. So just sort of rub it all over. I like to rub on the underneath of it as well. Coat it with the onions. If you got little extra seasoning, perfectly fine. Now what I'm gonna do is I am going to cover this with aluminum foil, and I'm going to pop it into the fridge for a minimum of a couple of hours, but if you can do this overnight, that'll be even better. So I'm going to cover this up, pop it in the fridge, and then we'll get it ready for the oven. My pork was in the fridge for just a couple of hours. I'm way too impatient to let it wait any longer. I have my oven preheated to 300. I'm going to keep it covered. Now again, the weighing and the measurements of everything will be on my website, but now for this size pork shoulder, I'm going to pop this into my oven preheated at 300 for 3 hours covered, and then I'm going to remove the foil and let it cook for an additional 3 hours or so, or until the meat literally pulls apart. It becomes super tender, and it falls apart when you try to kind of move it around and dig your fork in there to see if it's falling apart. It should fall apart beautifully. It could take 3 hours, it could take 4 hours uncovered, a total of about 6 to 7 hours. So this is no stress whatsoever. It's in a low oven. You can do everything you want in your day. This is going to cook up beautifully, make your house smell incredible, and have amazing results when you're done. So I'm going to pop it in there covered for 3 hours, then I'm going to uncover it for an additional 3 to 4 hours. My pork was in the oven for exactly 6 hours, 3 hours covered and 3 hours uncovered. Now once you uncover it with the foil, you'll notice it's got a lot of juice in there, and don't worry because it will thicken up as it cooks without it being covered, but it does render out of a lot of fat. And you see here, I just took it all out of the pan because you don't need all that fat. You do need, however, some really good barbecue sauce. I'm going to suggest you use my recipe. This is my homemade barbecue sauce. I have a recipe on laurainthekitchen.com for my homemade barbecue sauce, and it's really my favorite, but you can also use your favorite store-bought barbecue sauce. Now I still have my oven preheated. I cranked it up a little bit to 350. What I'm doing now, I've let the pork cool quite a bit so I can handle it, and what I'm doing now, you can do this with either 2 forks, or I find it better to just kind of pull it apart. Look at that. You pull them right apart, and then you can get rid of a little bit of the fat. You can just pull it right off if you don't want to have that into your final dish. But you won't have, well, you shouldn't have too much of the fat if you did trim a bit of it from the top. And then all I'm going to do is pulled pork. And it's succulent. It's a little bit hot still, but you just pull it apart with your fingers like so. And I put it right back into the same pan. Now, all I'm going to do tonight I'm gonna do just a little bit so that my husband and I can have some pulled pork sandwiches for dinner, and then save the rest for tomorrow because we have company tomorrow, and then that way all I have to do is pop it into the oven and let it get warmed up again, and we'll be good to go. So I'm just gonna finish up this piece right here, and then I'm gonna put it in that baking dish and pop it into the oven with the barbecue sauce. I'm just gonna do this bit for us tonight. You can see I grabbed on some of those onions as well because by now they're all like melted in there and they've just developed such incredible flavor, and I'm gonna get rid of that. And I'm going to just put a little bit of my barbecue sauce. Now again, I'm only doing a little bit tonight for Joe and I, but the recipe on my website will have all the instructions on how to finish the whole thing as a whole. And I'm just mixing my barbecue sauce with my pulled pork. Now, I'm gonna pop this into the oven for about 10 minutes just to heat everything through. And I think that that's kind of crucial because it really gets those flavors to get to know each other really well. And like, I don't know, just trust me when I tell you it's worth it. I'm gonna pop this into my oven at 350 for about 10 minutes or until it's really nice and hot. Now at this point, to be honest with you, my favorite ways of eating it is with some really good sliced pickles and some homemade coleslaw. I didn't make any coleslaw tonight, but I do have some sliced pickles and some toasted, really nice and crispy on the outside, chewy on the inside Kaiser rolls, so that'll be perfect for us. I'm gonna pop this in there and we'll be ready for dinner. Now, I could take a bath in there and it would be delightful. It smells incredible. I am so happy. Now make sure you make my coleslaw recipe to go with this because it is phenomenal. I just wanted to go for the good old pickle route today. Some sliced dill pickles, please. Yes, give me my lid. Slice this down. Yes, that smells insanely good. Who doesn't love the taste, or I shouldn't say the taste, the combination of like sweet and vinegary, tart, tangy. That to me is like the barbecue and the pickle. Look at that. If you just come close, I'll squeeze it and you can see all the delicious goodness. Ah! Ah. That is insane. Messy, but well worth it. You don't have to serve this in sandwiches if you don't want to. You can just shred it, put your barbecue in there. Am I messy on my face? You can put your barbecue sauce in there and then just serve it as is, buffet style, and people can eat it with bread if they want to or not. It's delicious either way. I feel like one of those really hard rock metal bands that bangs their head like this. Is how excited I am. Go to laurainthekitchen.com to get this recipe. It's simple, it's easy, it requires a handful of ingredients, but it's just done the right way. And I feel like once you've tried this barbecue pulled pork, you'll never try another one again because this is just, in my opinion, it's the best, and I think you'll agree. laurainthekitchen.com will have the recipe for you and also have the coleslaw recipe there as well, so make sure you make that to go along with this. Hope you enjoy spending time with me, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!